afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Today we are looking at handling drone imagery within the ArcGIS platform. My name is Evelyn Lele, and I'll be taking you through this session. So as already mentioned, if you have any questions, kindly use the chat section. Our teams are on standby to respond to you. And then this session is also being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. The link to our channel will also be available on the chat section. So once again, welcome to today's session, and we're looking at handling drone imagery within the ArcGIS platform. So I think this session really comes in handy. Like for the Kenyan context, we currently have the Civil Aviation Act that outlines the guidelines for operating drones in Kenya. And I think this is a plus for us in the geospatial industry, because with the drones, it's easier to now collect information, high accurate information, even in areas that are not accessible. So today we're just going to look at how you can actually be able to handle drone imagery within the ArcGIS platform. So what we are calling, so ArcGIS platform is a comprehensive imagery platform, which includes drone images. So drones are actually well integrated within this platform, which are calling the ArcGIS platform. So this platform is a system of systems. And so if you think about the different systems within that we have within this platform, first we have ArcGIS as a system of insights. So with ArcGIS, you're actually able to extract information from imagery. And then, of course, you'll be having the various GIS professionals, imagery and geospatial analysts who will be working with the various image products that we have. Then also think of GIS as a system of records. So you need to manage and process your imagery products that you have collected using the various equipments. And for this particular session, we are mainly looking at drone imagery. And our focus actually today will be on how to actually manage and process the drone images that will have been captured. Then we are also looking at ArcGIS as a system of engagement. So meaning that with the imagery products or data that you have collected and processed, you may need to share that information with stakeholders within members within your organization, or actually share that information or the products with members outside your organization. So the beauty with this platform also is that you're able to share, to publish these information, the processed images and the data to ArcGIS Online or the enterprise portal. And that information can be accessed by members of your organization, or you can even choose to share it with other members outside your organization. So within the platform, we have two main product solutions, mainly handling drone images. So the first product solution is what we are calling Sitescan for ArcGIS. So Sitescan for ArcGIS provides drone flight planning, fleet management, image processing, as well as analysis capabilities. And this is mainly available as software as a service. So depending on the workflow that you're looking at, if you're looking at a workflow where you actually want to have the flight planning bit and the control to the processing and sharing of the information, then Sitescan is actually going to be one of those applications that you want to consider. So Sitescan has two main components. It has what we are calling the site planning controller application. So this is mainly, sorry for that. Let me just reshare my screen. Okay. Yes, so it has two components. The first component is what we are calling. Are you able to see my screen? Maybe you can type on the chat section. Okay, let me try resharing my screen again. So apologies for that. Hope you can now be able to see my screen. Thank you. So yeah, I was talking about the two components that we have. So we have the Sitescan flight planning and control application. So if you're looking at a complete workflow right from flight flight planning, then Sitescan is actually one of those applications you want to use. Then we have the Sitescan Manager. So the Sitescan Manager is mainly used for processing and managing and analyzing the drone images that you will have collected. So the beauty with Sitescan for ArcGIS is that it offers you the complete workflow from planning, whatever flight planning, to processing and actually sharing that information. Then in terms of how this is licensed, we currently have 3 licenses for Sitescan for ArcGIS. We have the viewer license, so meaning just as we have the user type. So with the viewer license, you're only able to see project data. Then we have the access license. So with this, you have full functionalities of the Sitescan Manager, and you can be able to create and process images. Then we have the operator license. So with the operator license now, you're able to actually plan your flight and actually be able to operate your drone as you do your data collection. So I think we look at these, we'll have a session just for Sitescan. So for today's session, we'll mainly be focusing on ArcGIS Drone2Map. So ArcGIS Drone2Map is the other solution component that we have for handling drone imagery within the ArcGIS platform. So ArcGIS Drone2Map is a desktop application that turns raw still imagery from drones into valuable information. So maybe just to point out the difference. So with ArcGIS Drone2Map, the idea is that you have already collected you've already captured the images that you needed in the field using your drone, and you now want to process them so that you can be able to get information that you can use maybe for analysis and so on and so forth. So with the Drone2Map application, you're able to process both 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional products. And then just a bit of how this is done, the licensing. So this is a premium application, meaning that you have to pay for it. And then the license, this is licensed per named user. So the administrator has, like within your ArcGIS Online account or your enterprise portal, the administrator has to actually assign you the ArcGIS Drone2Map license within either ArcGIS Online or or enterprise portal. So, and again, ArcGIS Drone2Map allows for offline use, so you can be able to work offline. So this is what we will be mainly looking at today. So we will be looking at how you're able to process your data captured using the drones in Drone2Map and actually be able to share it with others. And yes, that's what we'll be looking at. So in terms of the workflows that are supported, drone supports quite a number of workflows. So the first workflow is mainly 2D mapping. Maybe you just need to have, from your data sets, you need to just maybe do some interpretation and analysis, especially for guys in the agricultural sector or even site monitoring. So you can be able to do that. So that's 2D mapping workflows. Then we have 3D mapping workflows, mainly for 3D visualization and modeling. So if you're in the construction sector, urban planning, and any other sectors that require 3D data, you can actually make use of ArcGIS Drone2Map. Then we have inspection workflows. So for most of the organizations, they have workflows that require, especially in utilities and industrial management, that requires inspection of some of their activities, and maybe these places are not easily accessible. So you can actually make use of the drones, capture the images and process them. So the first one is 2D drone mapping. So you're able to create 2D data from raw drone imagery. So the 2D data sets that we'll be looking at here, we have high resolution orthomosaics. So these are mainly images, geometrically corrected images that you can be able to use for interpretation and mapping. Then the other bit that could be very useful is the agriculture sector, which I had already mentioned. So in case you need to perform maybe normalized difference vegetation index just to gauge the health of plants, you can actually have the images captured using drones, and the images processed in Drone2Map. Then you can be able to create digital surface models, mainly for visualization and volumetric analysis. So that's for the 2D mapping workflows. Then we also have the 3D mapping workflows. So mainly if you're interested in having 3D products, mainly for visualization or even modeling, if you're in construction segment or any other segment, this will be really important for you. We'll be looking at how you can be able to process this. So the output from this workflow is usually a 3D textured mesh or 3D point clouds, which you can use for 3D analysis. And the last workflow that I talked about is the inspection workflow. So if you need to access areas that are very difficult to access, then you can actually use your drones, fly your drones, capture the images of your area, and then you're able to process that and be able to use that for your workflows. So that's really important. So what we are going to focus on today is mainly how you're able to process the images that you have captured within using your drones within the ArcGIS platform. Remember, the assumption here is that you already have your images captured from your drones, and now you have them on your machine and you just need to process them. So we have different templates. So depending on the three workflows that I mentioned, we have a 2D processing template. So for the 2D processing template, this is actually used to create mosaics and digital surface models, as well as DTMs. And then, so the process is actually simple. Simply input the data, the images that you have captured using your drone, and then define your processing options, and then you're able to generate the output. We'll be looking at this as we go into the demonstration. And then the other workflow that is supported here, so we have a template for 3D processing. So if you're interested in having 3D data sets, then you can actually be able to use the 3D templates. So again, this is mainly used to generate the 3D products, which we've talked about already, the 3D textured meshes, as well as the 3D point clouds. So again, the process is you have to get the images that you have already collected with your drone or captured with your drone, define the processing option. So on the processing option, the option that you're going to choose determines the type of output that you're actually going to get. So if you need very accurate data sets, then you have to choose the best processing option so that you can get high quality products. So once you're done, you process your images and you're able to generate your output. So that's the 3D processing template. Then we have the last template is the inspection template within ArcGIS Drone2Map. So with this, you're able to create high resolution georeferenced image collections to support mainly visual inspection. So the assumption here is that the kind of workflows that you're carrying out requires you to be able to carry out inspections. So again, you're able to get the images that you have captured using your drones, process them, and you get your output. So again, what I need to mention is that so what we'll be handling today is just the processing bit. So after processing your information, after processing the images that you have captured, you can actually use them elsewhere. For instance, the 2D products that you will have gotten from your 2D images, then you can, if they're DEMs or DSMs, you can actually use them in ArcGIS Pro or any other platform to be able to maybe carry out further analysis. So after processing your information, then of course you will need to share this information either with stakeholders or members within your organization. So for the 2D product, so there are two ways. You can publish this to ArcGIS Online, or you can publish this to Enterprise Portal. So depending on what you're using. So for the 2D products, you'll have these style layers or imagery layers or even elevation layers published to ArcGIS Online. We'll be looking at this. Then for the 3D products, so what you'll be publishing are mainly 3D scene layers that can be accessed on ArcGIS Online. So that's the kind of workflow that actually we are going to be handling during this session. So the next bit is just a brief demonstration to show us how you're able to handle the images that you have already collected using your drones within ArcGIS Drone2Map. So what you're seeing on my screen is ArcGIS Drone2Map. We are currently at version 2.2. And as I mentioned, ArcGIS Drone2Map is licensed just like ArcGIS Pro. So you can use the named user license. So here on the under the licensing option, you can actually determine or indicate the licensing portal that you're going to be using. So if you're working with ArcGIS Online, you can indicate that. If you're using Enterprise Portal, you can also have the link to your portal that you'll be using here. And then I also mentioned that ArcGIS Drone2Map is authorized to work offline. So if you need to work offline, you can also authorize your ArcGIS Drone2Map to be able to work offline. So what we're going to do is create a new project. So we have different templates depending on the workflows that you are looking at. So we have templates for 2D processing, we have template for 3D processing, and we have a template for inspection processing. So for this particular demonstration, I'm just going to pick, we'll have a session, we'll have one just showing how you're able to process and get the 2D products, and then we'll quickly have another one also on the 3D products, but the concept is actually the same. So I'll choose the 2D processing option. So I'll click next, and then I'll give it, I'll give my project a name. So let's call it 2D processing. Demonstration. Then I'll browse to the location where I'm going to have my project saved. So I have a folder where I'm going to have this saved within my computer. So let me just have it saved there. Then now we have the assumption here is that we have already collected the images with our drone, and we just want to process those images that we have already collected. So I'm going to simply browse to the location where I have my images processed. So I'll simply come here and add images, and then browse to the location where my images are. So I have some images here, some 2D images that were captured using the drone. So I'm just gonna select this, and then we can add them to our project. So notice that if you have images that do not have the X and Y, then you're not able to have that. So I'm going to just go to my CSV file that has the images that have X and Y. Yeah, so that is already added. Then I'll just click OK and add the images to my project. Sorry, I think I haven't added all of them. Let me just go back again. Yeah, so my images will now have now been added to my project. So I'm going to create this project. Then the next thing that we're actually going to do is process these images that were captured using the drone, so that we can get our 2D output. Maybe we need this for analysis in ArcGIS Pro. So we're going to process these to get our output. We're gonna give it a few more minutes. Yeah, I noticed that for this particular, for the first one, we use the 2D mapping template. So yeah, so we have this. So we have our images here. The blue dots are actually showing the images that are collected, and the orange lines are showing the path that was used by the drone while capturing these images. So we'll come here to options. This section here, just on top of your ribbon, we have the processing options. So we're going to process these images. So I'll notice again that the template here by default is the 2D product template that we choose. So I'll simply come here. I'll leave most of these as defaults, but on the key points image scaling, I'll use the rapid one so that we are able to get the outputs, so that the outputs are not taking a while before that can be processed. Then I'll be able to click OK. Then we'll be able to process our images. So notice that on this section here, is this section down here that is showing that we are currently at 0%. So when I click on start, then these images will actually be processed. But I'm afraid for this particular session, it's actually going to take a while before the images can be completely processed. So I had pre-processed the images for the purposes of this presentation. So I'm just going to open one of the projects that I have with the pre-processed 2D data sets, so that you can be able to see the kind of output that we get. So after processing the 2D product, I was able to get the orthomosaics for the area. I was able to get the digital surface model for the area, as well as the digital terrain model for the area. So now with this information, you can either publish this information to ArcGIS Online. If you want to share this information with members of your organization, you can have this information published to ArcGIS Online. So we have this sharing tab here. So for instance, if we needed to share maybe the digital surface model or the digital terrain model, I'll simply highlight that and come here and sharing options. I can share these as a tile layer or an imagery layer or even an elevation layer. So just to show you how you're able to do the publishing of the information that you have already processed. So you simply come here and choose the layer that you want to publish. So for instance, we want to publish the digital surface model. So I'll simply select that, give it a title, and then give it a description and add the tags. So maybe let me just call it demo DSM. Then on the description, we're also going to call it demo DSM. And then now here you can choose whether you want to share this information with everyone or you only want to share this information with members of your organization. So for this case, I'm only going to choose to share this information with members of my organization. Then you simply come and click on share. Then your information will be published to your ArcGIS Online account. So notice that the licensing type here is named user. So my administrator was able to assign me, or I assigned myself the license for ArcGIS Drone2Map. So when I publish, it actually goes to this particular ArcGIS Online account. So we'll be looking at that in a short while. Then the other option that you have is actually processing, having a 3D processing of your information. So assuming that we have data sets and the kind of product that we need, a 3D product, maybe for analysis or even modeling. So maybe let me just call it 3D processing this webinar. So the same process, I'll browse to the location where I want this to be saved. Then I have some images that were captured using the drones that I want to process. So notice that there are two types of images that can be captured using drones. So we have the oblique images. So the oblique images are what we're actually using to generate the 3D products that we'll be using. And then we have straight down images. So those are mainly for the 2D products that we are interested in. So I'll simply browse to my folder where I have the drone images. So I'll come here and add my images. So we want to create 3D products from this now. So I'll simply come here, click create. Let's give it a few more minutes. So once you're done with your processing, I'll also be showing us how you can now be able to input that information in any other application for your further analysis. And for this particular one, we are mainly going to look at how you're able to add the same products that you've published in that you've processed in ArcGIS Drone2Map in ArcGIS Pro. So this is the data sets that we have. We have images of some area captured using the drones, and we want to generate 3D products out of this. So we'll simply come to So we simply come to the options on my ribbon. And then for this particular one, we're looking at having 3D products. So for the 3D products, you can have 3D scene layers as your output. You can have also 3D CAD standard format. If you're working with AutoCAD, you can have AutoCAD, DXF, and all these formats here, as well as you can also have these output in PDF. So just check here. I'm going to choose a rapid processing option so that it takes a while. But now, again, on the processing options, if you want high quality products, then it means you have to choose the option that will give you the highest quality product that you need. But that may take time to actually process. So about 30 to an hour, you should be able to get your processing done, also depending on the amount of information that you have. So I'll just click OK for this particular one. And then the same process. Once you're done, once you click on the start processing button up here, then your images will actually be processed and you'll be able to get your 3D products. So again, in the interest of time, I knew that is going to take a while. I had pre-run the same. Let's just open one of the 3D products that I had pre-run. So for these ones, these will mainly be scene layer packages that you can layers that you can publish to ArcGIS Online, and then from ArcGIS Online you can still add this to ArcGIS Pro if you need to do maybe analysis like visibility analysis. Then you can actually be able to do any other 3D analysis with your data set. Let's just give it a few minutes. I think meanwhile, as it loads, I can actually show you how to add the data to my ArcGIS Pro. They already processed. Finally, it's here. So I actually had a pre-processed data for the 3D data sets for my area of interest. So I did this mainly as 3D point clouds. Let me just try and zoom in so that you're able to see. So again, if you need to share this or publish this to ArcGIS Online, it's the same process. You simply come to your 3D layers here, then you come to the share option, then you publish these as a scene layer, and you'll be able to see these within ArcGIS Online. So I think one of the things I want to show us is the products that we have published to ArcGIS Online. Then we can actually be able to see how to add the process data to ArcGIS Pro for your further analysis. So allow me to just reshare, stop sharing and share my screen again. Yeah, so this is ArcGIS Online. So as I mentioned, the licensing is just done. You use the named user license. So under licensing here, you'll have the various types of licenses within your account. Yeah, so you have all the licenses actually within your account, and then you have ArcGIS Drone2Map as one of the licenses within your account. So if you're an administrator in your ArcGIS Online account or your enterprise portal, you're able to assign these licenses to specific members within your organization. So the same way you actually assign the licenses for ArcGIS Pro or any other named user license type, then you can actually be able to do that with ArcGIS Drone2Map. And then I have some of the process data sets already published to these online accounts. So under the content section, we'll have the data sets that we've published. We'll have the 2D data that we already published, as well as the 3D data sets that we published. So one of the data sets that we published is the digital surface model that was generated from our 2D product. So with this, then members of your organization can then be able to access this information and use it for further analysis. They can download these and use it in Pro and so on and so forth. Then we also have the content, the 3D scene layer packages from the 3D data that we processed. So you're able to actually see the scene layers that you have processed to ArcGIS Online. I think it's taking a while. Just give me a few minutes. So the important thing about sharing the information that you have actually processed is that so that other people within your organization can be able to make use of the data that you have already processed for analysis or any other processes that they are engaged in. So then the other workflow that I needed to show is how you're able to add the pre-processed data sets to your desktop application for further analysis. So I think my scene layer is finally loading. We can come back to it. Yes, I think it's actually done loading. So this is a section of the data that we processed showing the 3D data sets for a particular area. So if you need to do, maybe if you're in construction industry and you're proposing to put up some other buildings within that particular area, you can actually be able to do analysis to determine the impact of maybe your proposed building on the already existing buildings and infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So you can have all those products published to ArcGIS Online. Then the other thing is now how you're able to add the same data to your desktop application. So allow me to reshare my screen again so that I can show us how you can have these on ArcGIS Pro. So what you're seeing on my screen is ArcGIS Pro. So on the catalog here, I'll create a folder connection to the location where I actually have my processed product stored. So I created a folder connection to that the location where my processed data is. So to create a folder connection, simply come to the folder section here and click create a folder connection. Then you can actually browse to that particular folder where you have your output after processing. So just to show us how to do that. So I'll simply come here and I have different products. I had the 2D products that we got from processing the images, and I also have the 3D products that we got. So for instance, if we're interested in the 2D products that we got from processing the images, that's the DSM, the DTM for the area. So I'll simply come here and I'll just add that information to my map. Then I can use it for analysis. So you need to actually be very ensure that you have just saved all your work in a single folder, so that you have the products in one folder, and so that you don't confuse the input that you used for processing your images as well as the output. Then you can also add the ortho mosaics, that you can have the DTM for your area within ArcGIS Pro. So from here now, you can be able to carry out whichever analysis or be able to interpret the image depending on the functionality or whatever purpose you intended to have your information serve. So I think that should mark the end of my presentation. So I'm gonna allow us to have questions on this session. So that marks the end of this presentation. So I'll give us time to just ask questions. I don't know if you have the questions already on the chat section. If there are those that have not been addressed, then we can